We want to head toward a zero downtime model for our application deployments. The only thing I see is EBR, Edition Based Redefinition, but that looks way too complicated. Are there other options? I'm going to tackle this by saying I don't believe it's too complicated. And I'm not being critical of the question that came in. I'm being critical of us as an organization. For a long time, we have pitched EBR as if you're going EBR, you have to go the absolute whole way in. You have to totally embrace it. You have to go the cross edition triggers. You never have an outage again. It's all it's all in or all out. And don't get me wrong, it can be done that way because, for example, our own Oracle e-business suite delivers the vast majority of its patches via EBR. And let's face it, if you can use EBR for a system that has 25,000 tables and indexes, it's probably going to work for you as well. But that requires a good deal of investment in utilizing the facilities. I think one of our mistakes was the previous people that looked after EBR have been pretty much saying the only way for EBR is for you to embrace it entirely. Everything about EBR you must grab, latch onto. That is the only way. Anything which is even partly that is just not worth the effort, etc. I disagree with that vehemently. Don't get me wrong, if you want to do it, it can be done. People have done it successfully. There are plenty of people out there in the community, such as Oren and others, who will gladly offer their guidance and advice to help you out, including Oracle. But that doesn't mean if you're not prepared to undertake that effort, that you should just go, oh, it's all too hard, I won't do it. I've known some customers who are not particularly heavily invested in Oracle technology. They view it as a Bitbucket database, but they still wanted to have zero downtime or less downtime. There are plenty of very adequate compromise solutions that can exploit EBR with minimal understanding of the technology. And perhaps one of the easiest examples there is a customer I worked with before I joined Oracle, we came up with a policy where if we were doing things that would not break the application, such as adding columns, very common thing you do to a table is you add columns. If you're adding new tables, then we would use EBR, because if you're adding indexes, adding constraints, adding columns, then there's a very good chance those things can be done without the existing application being even aware of it. Now, obviously, the code base needs to be rolled forward to be aware of it, and that's where we drew the line at EBR. If we were changing triggers, PL SQL, etc., we would use EBR to roll those through changes with no downtime. So we could, any situation where the application deployment was adding columns, adding tables, adding indexes, adding constraints. You've got to be a little bit careful there if you're adding constraints to an existing table. But everything is additive, which is very common. And then you're changing the code base to reflect those additions. Then the code base changes and the DDL would be done via EBR. If we're doing something more significant, this table is now being broken up into two tables. This table that was originally one-to-one is now one-to-many. It's a parent-child now. We're re-architecting some tables, we're dropping columns, etc. Then rather than going to the next level of EBR, which is the cross-edition triggers, etc., we would simply take an outage. What that means is rather than taking continuous delivery kind of model, rather than taking 50 outages a year, we're taking 7 outages a year. That's 43 outages saved using EBR in what I would call its simplest form. I think EBR is a fantastic piece of technology. I think we've sold it to our customers badly. We've told people that it's a beast to use and you have to use the beast. That's your only option. I disagree. It can be as simple or as complicated as you choose to allow it. And the more you head down the path, the more you get closer to never taking downtime. But the vast majority of people are quite happy to take less downtime than the downtime they're currently taking to do the simplest of DDL changes. I think EBR is a wonderful piece of technology, and I think people should have a second look at it because I think we've pitched it badly, and I think it's a very useful tool for many, many customers.